Hey everybody, this is David at Barnyard Bees. What we got here, what I want to show you today is I've had a lot of people ask me questions because a lot of people are doing late season splits now. And what they're ending up finding is if they put too many frames back in the colony, for one thing, it'll slow them down. And another thing, if there's unattended wax on it, it's going to get covered up with wax moths. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and some things that you can do to keep that from happening if you still want to fill up your hive with all the frames. Now, but still, the only thing wrong with that is you can encourage places for hive beetles to hide. So that's why I've always kind of been a fan of, if you're doing a split and it's a small split like a 1 frame, then use a 2 frame mini nuke instead of putting 1 frame in a box like this and then a bunch of empty frames around it. You're better off to go with a 2 frame mating nuke and start off very small. Just in case you've never seen these, or if you're new to the channel, these are our 2 framers that we use for raising our queens in, and for also doing very small splits, like when you do a 1 frame split. So what that does is it keeps the bees more compact, and the smaller compact that you can keep your bees, the better they do for rebuilding the hive up faster. And because if you would take that 1 frame and stick it in that hive right there, and the rest was empty, it does something to the bees, what they call demoralization of the bees, where it will slow them down. And so what you do, if you're just starting off with 1 frame of bees, you need to put it in one of these 2 framers. Now you can make these, the plans will be in the description, or you can buy them at barnyardbees.com, whichever you prefer. If you're a builder and you'd like to make your own stuff and save you money, by all means, go buy the plans and make you some of these. Or if not, or if you're like, you just don't have time to fool with it, we have them at the store. Whatever you prefer. Now, usually what I do, if I come across a colony that has a lot of spare wax inside of it, what I usually do, let's say for example, okay, this right here, they are actually working on this one. It was just a sheet of foundation with wire support. They're actually starting to draw it out just a little bit. This is a very tiny colony, one of our late season splits that we're just trying to get built up, grow out. They got this heavily propolized here. This was an old frame that I put in there to give them for the split. Right there's a queen, right there walking around. But what you do, if you have a colony that has way too much unattended wax, now what I mean is, now this is kind of unattended. This is not, they're not covering it really good. And it could be vulnerable to wax moths. And that's why, usually what I'll do is, like with a frame like this right here, which is hardly any bees on it whatsoever, I would take that frame, this is just how I do it, stack it on the outside of your colony, or get you an empty super, a deep super or whatever you're using, stack them in it, but don't cover it up. Let the daylight stay in them. And then as they build up, add those frames back to the colony. I had somebody write me just the other day, says, hey, the split done really good, and next thing you know, it was taken over by wax moths. And I knew exactly what had happened. It had too many drawn out frames of wax inside, and the bees just can't protect it. It's just too much wax, and that's why I'm a big fan of the 2 framers. When your split is small, use your 2 framer. Makes all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. And then, if you're at this time of year and you're still doing splits, we've stopped here. It's the season's getting real late. Look here at this little colony, and it's little, but she's laying it up. You can see inside the cells there. It's peppered full of eggs, and as those capped brood are hatching off, she's getting in there and laying eggs, replacing them pretty quick. So that is a good sign. At least we know she's still laying good. It's not by any means turned cold here in North Georgia. We've had a few nights in the 60s, and it's now nothing but rain for the last 2 or 3 days. Now keep that in mind about the rain. Let's say you got late season splits. When the days that you have rain, that means the nectar and the pollen are useless. And even like today, it's finally quit. And I think it's supposed to clear up. It's about 3 o'clock right now. But it doesn't matter, it's already wet. The pollen, they won't have any chance of getting any pollen or nectar today. So the day's pretty well shot. And then tonight we'll have a heavy dew like we usually always do, especially after a rain. And you know, the bees won't be back active on the goldenrod pollen or nectar till about probably 11 o'clock tomorrow, because everything will just be soaked. So you got to kind of keep that in mind and remember what the rain will do to you in these splits. So, you know, I'm recommended for people doing late season splits, put your pollen patty in there and help those bees out a little bit. Make sure you keep feeding them. Don't stop feeding them regardless if you got goldenrod in the area. Because there's going to be days where they just can't, it's not accessible to them. They can't use it because it just won't be there. So there's a few things I just wanted to throw out there because I've had so many questions this week. And I know it would when I was telling people about, you know, doing your late season splits, and the questions started pouring in. And but that's a few of my remedies to do to keep out those, to the fight against the hive beetles and the wax moths. Keep it small as possible. Even if you have to put, if you don't have any two framers, you may consider what they call a following board, where you stick a board in there that just closes off one section of the hive. Now, then again, that does make a place for hive beetles to hide, but if you got your beetle traps in there, you should have them under control to begin with. Or if you have to use something, now remember, a full sheet of foundation, wax moths won't touch it. They won't touch foundation. They won't touch it till they draw it out, and then what they draw out is what they attack. Or if you have plastic, full sheets of plastic, they won't, you know, they can't, even though it has a wax coating on it, they won't bother that. The wax moths won't. So that's what you need to do. Keep your unintended wax out of the hive. Add it back as they need it. That's just a few tips from Barnyard Bees in your late season splits, and I hope your splits are doing good. Goldenrod is at full bloom here. It's everywhere in the fields. Let me know in your area how it's doing. Don't forget 2021 packages if you need them. Barnyardbees.com. Beekeeping supplies, whatever you need, barnyardbees.com. And don't forget, folks, please help share our videos. Please click on the little bell, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Barnyard Bees.